Hello, Donnelly Team listeners. Thank you for being back here with me. And I have Miss Brittany Stone. What is it? No BS Brit, Miss BS Brit. I don't remember what Kara calls you.
One of
Um,
those.
this is one of them, right? One of them. But also soon to be Grand Canyon champion. If you didn't listen to our case acceptance one, go listen. And hopefully soon we will have some results from Britt killing it.
Champion or survivor. One
Yeah,
of the two.
you will
At
be
least
a
one.
survivor. But then I want to know how much you sleep on Saturday when you're
Yeah.
done. So
Yeah.
that would be the
I
big
can move my
question.
legs or not.
Exactly. Yeah. How long does it take for you to get back on the bike once you're done? But thank
Yeah.
you for being here with us today, Britt. I think I love podcasting with you, your hygiene brain, like Dana's hygiene brain. You guys just kind of come at it from a different angle. I know the rest of us all have dental assisting backgrounds and, hygiene assisting, but that hygienist brain just shares a different section. And I think you do really well relating with the doctors and kind of that support team space, like we spoke to on the case acceptance one. So I'm excited for today, Britt. Thank you for being here. You've got the Grand Canyon, but gosh, what else is new and exciting? You just went to one of our favorite Mexican restaurants not
I
too long
know.
ago. So
Conferences. I went to
that's
PNDC.
true.
That was a good time. Luckily, it was gorgeous weather there. I mean, podcasting today is special. I wear my tooth earrings
So
for us today since we're podcasting. Just lots of fun things.
getting a little fancy. I like it. And you guys, so you just went to that conference. You went to the Arizona Dental Convention. That was in March, right? I think that one's always March. For like the last, I don't know, 50 years, it's always been in March.
Yep.
Um, and then you just went to the other one, and then you're heading out again in a couple weeks to Dentist Advisors.
Yeah, Dentist Money
Yeah.
Summit, which is by Dentist Advisors, which will be in gorgeous Park City, Utah. So, it's a rough life over here.
I know, right? And actually, it's perfect timing because I think we've all, like, our seasons were a little bit off this year. So we are barely getting hot, which normally we're at like 110 already, which has been fantastic in Arizona. But that meant that Nevada and Salt Lake area, both Reno and Salt Lake area, have had snow longer. So I think you're going to hit Salt Lake for Dentist Money Summit right as the peak summer season starts. So you're going to get some beautiful weather. And I'm a little jealous. I will be in California or something like that. But anyways,
Somewhere else. It'll be
somewhere.
great. And my nephew, second of my nieces and nephews, graduates. So I won't go to graduation, but I'll get to go. I'll be coming like a couple weeks later to see you. So I'll go
Okay.
get to see them while I'm up there too.
Okay, good. Good. I was like, wait a second. How do we
I'm
get you
not
there?
fighting the crowd up there
That's
for
good.
graduation, which he's like, Mom, everybody graduates. And I'm like, no, it's still a big deal. We'll just celebrate when I come see you on my own instead of along with everybody else.
Oh
So
gosh, that's funny. I was just talking over the weekend. We had a graduation party that we had to drop in at yesterday. So I was like, gosh, I'm gonna have to, which is, I don't like thinking about it, but I have to start thinking about it. But Brody's in a year. So I was like, Aaron's like, is he gonna want a party? And I said, no, he's gonna be the kid that's like, everybody graduates. It's fine. Like, it's no big deal. But it is a big deal. So
but
same,
they still
same.
want it, even though you know it, even though they're like,
Exactly.
boy, that it's like, oh, come on. But they want it.
Exactly. It's like my birthday where I was like, it's fine, like just a dinner. But had they not done a big deal for my 40th, I probably would have, been in shambles. So when it comes, he's surely going to want it. But
Sure.
graduation season is upon us. And it's wild that we are in this space of life that we're experiencing it with them. I think that's crazy. And anyways, you've got some fun travels. If you guys aren't hitting CE events, make sure that you do and make sure that you check out a lot of our CE events. So if you're a listener, if you're a client, whatever, you're a listener and a client, like whatever you guys want, we have, what is it, every third Wednesday, we have a CE webinar.
Yep.
We've got a really cool webinar coming up in August that we do. Every
And if
year the content shifts and
you're
changes,
going
but
to events to check out our Instagram if you don't follow us.
yeah.
If I'm there, come find me. Let me know.
That's true.
Message us.
Yeah,
I got at PNDC. I got to see a few clients, which was really fun. It's always nice when we get to meet up in person. So,
agreed.
whether you're a client or just a listener, come find me.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in Britt's position because you have a handful of your own clients, but you oversee a lot of the company. So you know all of the client names, but you don't get to see them and meet them. So I know I have a few clients that are asking if I was going to be there and I'm not, but I was like, you got to go seek out Britt, like go meet Britt. So definitely, definitely follow the Instagram. Make sure that you reach out to Britt. If you're there, look for her, say hello, take a little picture with her, and then make sure you're hitting those CEs and make sure you're hitting all the free ones, you guys. We put out a ton of free CE, and why not?
Yeah.
Because I know you need to stack those hygienists and doctors. Like you guys need to stack those CE credits. So do it for free wherever you can. And then, like I tell one of my prized clients, set up a CE bucket so that you're saving money for the CE that's not free. And
Correct.
on that note, I think, Brett, we were actually just talking, and I think it's funny because I do think this was like super high thing, and right now it's like I think it's kind of stabilized. It's not quite as sought after as heavily as it was, but for the clients that are doing it or still trying to implement it, there are still some really great CE avenues out there. Today we wanted to talk a little bit on the sleep apnea avenue, systems wise, not sleep apnea. That's not our genre. You can go take CE for that. Britt can probably tell you a ton medically, but that's not our genre. But our genre, our space, our niche is the systems behind it. And so, on the note of CE and implementing, I do think even if you're not doing sleep apnea or you're not considering sleep apnea, a lot of what we talk about today is copy pastable. Like systems are systems, you guys, and we overcomplicate it in life. And what we say for one thing can easily be duplicated and slightly altered for something else. So if there's CE that you're doing, which doctors, we love you so much. And when you go do CE, you come back just like ecstatic. And if you didn't take team with you, you're the only one. And it's so hard sometimes to get that generating. Typically, it's that it's just all a fun idea. There's not a really good system behind it to get that momentum. So taking these systems, even what we talk about for sleep apnea, whatever CE you do, apply it to that. And Britt, like you said, with the sleep apnea, if they're not taking team members, like it can be really hard to implement. And that's a space too. If you can bring team members to any of that CE or sign them up for the webinar and get them included in it, I think that's a great space too. But anyhow, sleep apnea side and system side, Britt, you've worked as a hygienist, so I know that this is some of the stuff like the questionnaire style and that stuff. Like, what do you see, and what you've actually helped practices implement the systems for sleep apnea? So, what do you see as the like biggest ticket items of implementing sleep apnea or just CE style in general that is easy, that's duplicatable like that?
Yeah, and I think sleep and myo that's coming in pretty strong for a lot of people too. I think you can similar areas when it comes to looking to implement something successfully. I think that you would look for. So if you're doing one or the other, number one, I think is making sure that our team knows what it is. Like Tiff said, Doc, you can go to a CE and you get all excited and you understand all the things behind it to see all the dots connect of why this is so important, because it is, but the team often is behind. So whenever you're looking to do something, you might just take a course as like an exploratory, right? And then you're like, oh no, this is something I really want to do. When you start to get into that phase of like, no, I really want to work on implementing this, I want you to look for things that are going to help train your team, because your team is going to be needing to have 90% of these conversations with patients. And your goal is for you not to have all of the conversations with all of the patients. The goal is for the team to be able to help support you identify patients and start to educate patients and warm them up to the idea. Because just like for your team, it's kind of a newer thing or a different thing or something they don't know all the details about. It doesn't come easily to them. Patients even more so. So that's why our team needs to be really confident and knowing what it is, the reasons why, and being able to talk about it, I think is number one place to start. Along with that, I would say have someone, call it your champion, call it your lead of that thing, whatever title you want to give them, of someone who is going to be that person who is going to make sure the team has all the things. We educate the team on all the things, and they're going to be the one to really kind of take point on implementation and keeping this going and getting it to where it becomes a program that's ingrained within our practice. We need someone to be that person. So from the get-go, education, someone who's going to be a point person before we even start on implementing anything with our patients. So that would be my number one thing, Tiff, to start with, is education and identify someone who's going to be the point person, because they're going to start thinking of implementation. What are all the things we need in our practice to get this program going?
Yeah, and even like ortho, I have like the
Mhm.
same, I'm thinking the same thought
Yeah,
process because anything that you're trying to grow that doesn't, you don't put attention on isn't going to grow. So to your champion conversation there, whether it's sleep, myo, ortho, implants, like anything that's not crowns, fillings, bridges, and even I do have a lot of practices that even do it for crowns, whatever that champion, making sure there's a job description. And I love that you said the education piece because that I think even when I've seen practices implement the champion space, it's still the education piece falls back to the doctor. But putting that, I think that's brilliant, putting that on the champion of scheduling out the lunch and learns, making sure that they're doing the role playing with the team and that they're having these meetings with the team on the education and the why behind it so that they can take that information and tackle it with the patients. And then it made me think too, like KPIs, their key performance indicators. So that champion is responsible for seeing, okay, how many times, how many patients do we need to talk to about this to get our case acceptance where we want it or to get that many cases? I know like for ortho, we want 5 starts this month or 10 starts this month. So then you look at how many patients do we need to talk to about ortho in order to get that, because your case acceptance might be like 25%. So you're doing the math for that. So then, Brent, I'm thinking that champion is then responsible for collecting the data from the team on how many patients do we talk to, how many patients signed up, and kind of championing all of the results, and then looking at how do I control and manipulate the results based on the education, implementations, all of those pieces.
agreed. And that's, I think, probably you, Tiff, right? With clients, like you said, name the new thing, right? Name the new thing that we're doing within the office. And, they want to do more of that thing. And I'm like, all right, well, what's going on? Why aren't we even getting it presented to patients? What's happening?
Yeah.
Well, we're just not talking about it,
Yeah.
right? Like it really comes back to that. That's one of the biggest hurdles to get over is just talking about it and making sure patients know what it is, what benefit it would be to them if they're a candidate, if this is something that they need. So that's why I say make sure we've got that foundation first. And
Mhm.
then we go into, okay, we've got the team more comfortable talking about it. How do we identify opportunities with patients? And then that's where we move into what kind of screening do we want for this specific treatment for sleep apnea? Then, all right, what kind of screening do we want to incorporate across the board? So it's not reliant on a human thinking, oh, this one would be a candidate. Like, no, what are screening to where we know when these things are checked or we get this answer to this question, they are someone then that we are going to talk to about a sleep appliance or sleep apnea, or working on getting them tested, whatever it may be.
Yeah, and within that, asking those leading questions so that
Mm-hmm.
the patient starts thinking, because I think, like, back to, I think a lot of people do ortho. So back to ortho, you come in and you're hot and heavy, like, I'm getting ortho cases, and the patient has not had any like leading questions to make them start thinking that there's a problem or a solution needed for a problem. And then you come in and you're like, have you ever thought about ortho? And they're like, no, I haven't. Right. Because we didn't make them think about ortho. Kind of the same. Like, do oh, I hear you might be a snorer, right? Or just coming in and being like, hey, you've got these weird scallops on your tongue and I think you might need this. And then we just go on this tangent of sleep apnea and they're like, I have no issue sleeping. But if we start asking those leading questions of, do you find yourself tired in the middle of the day? Does your partner, do you wake your partner up a lot? Do you toss and turn a lot at night? Like, are you getting up to use the restroom a lot at night? Like different things that are preheating and leading into, there might be something going on there. I think is a space that we kind of overlook sometimes and we just jump into this is the solution and it kind of gets lost in translation. And then Britt, on to like layering on top of that, you've got your questionnaire, you've got your team, they're ready to go. You've got all of these pieces there. You know what your lead and lag measures are. Then you said like identifying the patients. We're identifying the patients. And then that layer, like it never stops. There's always a next layer. And that next layer is okay, if we can identify the patients, now we get to track and see, are we getting those patients?
Mm-hmm.
So then we say, okay, well, most of my patient base is 18 to 26 years old. might not be getting, like, that might not be the patient base you need for sleep apnea or for implants or whatever it is that you want to specialize in. So then you've got to look and see, do I need to determine something different in my patient avatar to fit what I'm trying to implement, what I'm trying to get? Because there's only so much you can do with the patients that you're getting in. So it just like keeps layering, but comes down to, I love, like, step one, it feels like, Britt, from what you're saying, is find that champion and make sure that champion is thoroughly educated in what their job is and what the procedure is. So then they can, step two, help you to train the team, get the team on board, figure out the why. Step three, find the patients. Step four, how do we get more of those patients?
Yeah, which I think then plays into marketing, right? Marketing at the end of the day is the number of times of exposure. So, right, when it comes down to it, then what are we putting out there? What do we have around our office? What, even if it's peripherally, are our patients seeing to know that this is a thing and that it exists? Because then it won't be as much of a surprise to them when we have a conversation, or they're like, well, why are, I don't even know what that is. They at least, oh, I've seen XYZ about that thing in your office or on the TV out in the waiting room, whatever it may be, to start warming them up to it as well. And then depending on how much you want to grow that and be known for that thing, I mean, Tiff is the marketing queen. Then there's like a lot more marketing that goes behind it.
Yeah, I do love marketing. I don't know why, but I really do. But you're making me think of, because it's subliminal. I think that's why I love it, because it's like, what can I do to make someone think this way, right? Like, I love the way the brain works. I love communication. That's why. So I'm thinking, as you're speaking to that, like you're saying, like, have it off to the side and have it on a TV, like 100%, because most of the time we're just being, again, preheated to the possibility of needing something. So if you think of like a Doritos commercial, right? Like, they don't just in the beginning come out with like, they're not like Doritos, right? It's like, hey, we're grabbing some Doritos out of a chip bowl, and all of the like tortilla chips, the unnamed tortilla chips over there, is full, but the Doritos are like empty, but we're having conversation, we're having fun, we're in a party, because now you're thinking about Doritos associated to fun. So that's how marketing works. It's like little snippets of this thing and how it's going to benefit your life, not just like, hey, have some Doritos. Because if somebody came by and they're like, hey, Doritos are amazing, have Doritos, they're so tasty, you're gonna love them, you're like, I'm okay, actually, like, I don't need a Dorito, right? But if they're like, hey, like, let's have fun, let's have a party, let's get people talking, it's going to be so amazing, and you can have these Doritos over here, everybody's going to stand around the bowl and they're going to socialize, then you're like, oh yeah, let me try these Doritos. So it's kind of that same thing, like, how is this thing, this sleep apnea, this ortho, this Botox, these injectors, the fillables, how is this going to benefit the patient's life and speak to the benefits and the problem, not the solution? Because being like, Botox, 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 right? Like, Botox is cool, but like, why do I want Botox? Because I want to look 30 when I'm 45. That's why I want Botox. And when do I need to start? When I'm 28. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do we get this subliminal messaging into different aspects of our practice and our speaking? And then what it also does is gets your team speaking that language too, because they're constantly seeing it. So they're constantly being reminded. And as you guys are checking on KPIs and how is it working and how is it growing, we're constantly coming back to this space that you're trying to implement and grow. Caveat of one at a time.
I
Botox
was
and fillers, fine.
I
Sleep
was thinking the
apnea,
same exact thing, Tiff.
like, you can't come home and be like, we're doing sleep apnea, we're gonna ramp up our ortho, and guess what, guys? I need 5 more implants. And it's like, I don't know which one to focus on. So one major change at a time and let it sit, let it ruminate and see how it goes. I like 6 months at least for like a big implementation like that. But Britt,
Become,
yes.
become good at that thing, right? I think that's when we do too much at once. You're you and your team, right? And the
Yep.
bigger the team, the more people you're trying to move, you're not going to get good at it. And then let's be honest, if I'm not good at it, I'm not going to do it as much. That's just
Yep.
welcome to human nature again. Like, it's a
Yep.
harder thing to do. It takes more effort. But if we focus on one, and that one thing we get really good at and it becomes really easy, then that will stick. and then we can move on to the next thing.
Yep. Yep. And always come back again to everything else too, because I've had clients that I've done, let's focus in on implants. So we're talking about it this many times, we're getting this many, we're looking for this many, whatever, all the pieces. So we're speaking to implants, we get really good at that. And they're like, cool, like I want to do more ortho. It's like, okay, well now we're laying on ortho, but then they're like, hey, wait, I haven't done an implant. And I'm like, well, why? Because you lost focus on the implants because you're so focused on the ortho. So you've got to just layer it in there and be like, on top of like being good at this, we also need to become good at this. So don't lose sight of it or stop tracking the one because you layered on something else. You're literally just layering another level to it. And now you're doing both because honestly, just those two, right? Implants and ortho go hand in hand. Like, do ortho before you place the implants, or do ortho so that you can place an implant because the space is too small. Like, how can your team help layer those together and support you in getting those things done? And for sleep apnea, it's exactly the same. How can your team support you in getting it done? Because you've got 1,500 to 3,000 patients. You've got a team of 5 to 25, 30. You cannot do it all. You've got to have at least one champion who's helping you. And when you do have those spaces, to Britt's point of not doing too many and losing sight, if you have a champion of each, they are focused on that thing. And so they're ensuring their needle is moving. So you've got your champion of sleep apnea that's like, hey guys, nope, we lost focus, don't forget. And you got your champion of ortho that's like, cool, I've got my metrics over here, and making sure that those are staying in line.
Mm-hmm. And I think once you start doing some cases, especially things where there's more of a knowledge gap, even Invisalign, right? Make sure you're getting results. So, like, you're getting testimonials, you're getting pictures at the end. Whenever there's a big investment, people want to know, like, what that means for them. Like, what can that be for me? And so that's where having something to look at to see before and after and having testimonials for people goes a long ways, especially on things where there's more of a knowledge gap like sleep apnea, because those patients are going to really highlight what is important to them, which then is going to be most likely what's important to all of your people that are in their same seat.
Yeah, I love it. Step one, figure out what you're going to do. If it's sleep apnea, it's sleep apnea. One thing, choose the one that you're going to focus on right now. Step two, figure out what your champion's position looks like, or with lead, or whatever you want to call it, quarterback, I don't care what you call it. That position, what's that job description? What are the metrics? Like, what does that person need to do? So step one, figure out what you're going to do. Step two, find your champion. Figure out what that champion's going to do. Step three, train your team. Step four, do the thing and track the results every time. I think really easy duplicatable systems that we tagged here as like sleep apnea, myo, whatever you want to focus it on, but literally this system can be duplicated for any major change you're trying to make in procedures within your practice. And then I think the last layer is within your metrics, watch your marketing and figure out what needs to shift and change there. Britt, brilliant Britt. That's the one. Brilliant Britt.
That's the one I like more. That's the better one.
That's the one I'm going to use. Brilliant Britt. Thank you, or Brainy Britt, right? But anyways, thank you for being here with me today, for doing this. I knew with the implementations you've done before with sleep apnea and myo, you've worked with that before. So I knew that you would have some great ideas. So thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to hear from you on Saturday that you survived the Grand Canyon rim to rim happily, and you're still smiling and you're just sleeping. Thank you.
Maybe I'll share my before and after. We'll see. Maybe even with dental A team. We'll see. It depends on how bad it is afterwards.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. You can at least share it with me, and then we can decide. But everyone, go find your thing. What's your one thing right now? What are you going to put? This is something I've been living by. You guys, we can talk about the book. You can hello@thedentalateam.com and ask me for it. But what are you putting a 10x effort into? What's your 10x problem that you're putting 10x effort into? Choose that thing, focus there, go do it, duplicate, create a system that can be duplicated, and have so much fun doing it. Again, if you need help with it, you have questions, you want recommendations, hello@thedentalateam.com. We are all here to help. We all help answer those questions. So reach out. And as always, drop us a 5-star review below. We love to hear that this was implementable for you, that it was helpful, and any ideas you guys have for future ones, we're always open to those. So Britt, thank you for being here. Listeners, thank you for being here, and we'll catch you next time.